Welcome to the Gray Zone. I'm Max Blumenthal. As Ukraine's counteroffensive fails, videos are emerging across social media showing Ukrainian military police essentially kidnapping military-age men, throwing them into vans and shipping them to the front, to a military which, according to conservative estimates, has lost close to 150,000 men, either killed or injured. And according to the Wall Street Journal, some 50,000 Ukrainians have lost at least one limb in combat. These staggering numbers add to the scandal that was exposed when Vladimir Zelensky fired key officials who were accepting $10,000 bribes from Ukrainian men who wanted to pay their way out of military service. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of others have left the country. Are Ukrainians voting with their feet in opposition to this war? Is there an anti-war movement in Ukraine? And what does it mean to oppose NATO's proxy war in Ukraine? What does it mean for a Ukrainian to oppose US military aid? To understand these questions and issues better, I spoke to a well-known Ukrainian journalist named Ruslan Kotsaba, who has had to flee his country and has been placed on trial and put in solitary confinement for opposing the war. He now lives in New York City in exile and is the head of the Ukrainian Pacifist League.
The problem is not that Zelensky decides whether it's war or peace. I'll tell you even now that both Putin and NATO should leave my country, Ukraine, alone. But we should be aware of the fact that the decisions are being taken in several offices. These are the Oval Office in Washington, the office in Moscow, also might be offices in Berlin and Beijing. That's it. If they haven't made their decisions yet, it means that they are still doing business. They are not ready yet, and we hope only for God, myself being a Christian pacifist, that God will make them come to their senses, see reason, so that they might become cleverer and stop doing their business, both political and economic, on ordinary people's blood, grief, and tragedy. I was always stating, and I'm doing this now, that the war is not between Ukraine and Russia. There is war between Russia and NATO on the territory of Ukraine, at the cost of Ukrainians' lives and on NATO's expense, with NATO's weapons and for NATO's interests, because NATO wants to weaken Russia. That's it. It's logical. But when Europe, and what I find most unpleasant, the USA, don't see this deal as well, you see this agreement. And when we see here that someone's simply counting their money, some are more worried about Lockheed, some would like to write off obsolete weapons, rockets, cluster munitions. They want to give it all to Ukraine, and they're going to count their money at the same time. Money, money, only business.
Ruslan, do you think that this trend of tens and tens of thousands of Ukrainian men avoiding conscription is a referendum on the popularity of the war? And is Zelensky actually popular among Ukrainians?
I'm appealing to everybody who's listening to me and watching me. Do not believe the data collected by the so-called surveys. People in Ukraine are afraid of each other. People are afraid when another group of people approach them. People in Ukraine are afraid to come clean. People in Ukraine are often zombified by one-sided propaganda information. That's why Zelensky can be popular. Only in the absence of such democratic liberties as the freedom of conscience, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and of course, in addition, the special services repression against dissent.